Hi, people. So, this one is particularly for Filipinos, if you happen to be watching this, and for anyone who's interested. I've been following the Philippines presidential election quite closely, um, partly because I think the Philippines is an important country in the sense that it has 112 million people. So, it's a big country in that sense. But also because of personal connections. I've got quite a few friends out there and it's just a country that I'm interested in, and I felt a connection to it. I've never been to the Philippines, but there's a reasonable chance I will be in the near future. So it's a country that I feel somewhat connected to in that sense. So the results come through, and it's not surprising. Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has become the 17th president of the Philippines, succeeding Rodrigo Duterte. Um, Now, there's no doubt that he won. His victory was pretty sizable. Apparently, he got twice as many votes as his nearest rival, Lenny Robredo. Um, and by the way, apologies if I'm pronouncing any names wrong. That's my Tagalog needs to improve, so apologies for that in advance if I pronounce any names wrong. Um, I have a friend in Makati City who is a big supporter of Lenny, and I imagine she'll be very disappointed by this result because she seemed to have huge rallies. I mean, it was something like 200,000 in Pasig City, 150,000 in Cebu, huge rallies. Um, but clearly, the Marcos campaign has been very effective. I was watching the presidential debate from CNN. It's from February, so it's out of date now. Nine candidates on stage, including, of course, Manny Pacquiao. It's interesting that Pacquiao hasn't done that well because it sort of shows that celebrity isn't a guarantee of getting you into the highest office, which is perhaps a good thing. Although I'm a big fan of Manny Pacquiao, you know, um, I think personally Pacquiao's a bit young. He's only in his mid 40s, which to be the head of state is quite young. So maybe, who knows, maybe Pacquiao can run again. Um, but what I want to address is, well, firstly, if you're Filipino, what do you think of this? Are you pleased with the result? Are you not pleased? Tell me your thoughts. Okay. Um, Now, there's a few other angles I want to address. I have seen some Marcos supporters getting quite defensive at the coverage by the BBC and other international outlets. They're saying that Marcos is being smeared and he's being unfairly presented. But within the Philippines, his critics are very concerned that this guy has exonerated his father's legacy. Okay, now I'm not questioning that he's won the election. He's the new president, and we respect that. That's democracy. But part of democracy is also questioning power and holding leadership to account. So the fact is, Marcos Jr. has went out of his way to exonerate his father's legacy. Now, it is well documented that the Marcos dictatorship was brutal. I'm not just talking about the human rights abuses, use of torture, crackdown on political dissent, but the way the Marcos regime absolutely embezzled and corrupted the Philippines. It started off quite well, but when it came to the People's Power Revolution in 1986, um, I don't think anyone could question that Marcos left the country in a worse shape than when he started, which is why the People's Power Revolution happened. So I do find it quite surprising that people seem to have forgotten that. Um, I imagine there will be a lot of people with very painful memories who will be concerned about this. So, for example, I noticed the BBC had a report on why the Marcos family is controversial. And predictably, Marcos supporters were saying, oh, mind your own business, this is our internal affairs and so on. Well, the Philippines is not North Korea. You're a democracy. So don't get upset when outsiders are interested in your politics. Of course it's up to the Filipino people. No one's questioning that. No one's saying it's up to outsiders to decide, right? But democracy means openness, and it is legitimate for international relations to question the future direction of a country. It matters in terms of geopolitics in terms of relations. Now, if Marcos, I don't know much about his policies actually, other than the fact he's went out of his way to defend his father's record. But if he's tough on China, that's a good thing. I would say that's good for the Philippines. If he stands up to China. Duterte, I don't think has done enough to stand up to China. For all his tough guy image, um, I think that, Duterte hasn't done enough to stand up to China. Um, I made a video about Duterte a few years ago. I got a lot of heat from Duterte supporters. Look, all I'm going to say is this. I totally get I'm an outsider. I'm not telling Filipino people how to think. I'm not doing that at all. But I insist that a democratic country has to be open, and that includes outsiders having an opinion. Just like people comment, people outside the United States talk about American politics all the time. That doesn't mean they're interfering in American politics. It just means they're interested. The same principle. So what I want to know is if you are a Marcos supporter, do you genuinely believe that all the negative assessment of his father's legacy really is false? Do you really believe that, despite the evidence? Or maybe you feel that the son is not the father, and actually he has some good policies. I'd be interested to hear. I respect democracy. I respect the result. Um, but I know there will be people like my friend who will be very disappointed and concerned about this. Um, that's all. I'm just interested in Filipino perspectives. Why is it that Marcos has got such support? I mean, what domestic policies, for example, is he promoting that have garnered such support? I noticed he didn't show up at the debate, so even then he must have been enjoying quite high. Has he spent a lot on the campaign? What is it that has got this man so much support? Is he charismatic? Is he focusing on a particular area that people are very passionate about? I'm just interested, that's all. Um, this is my channel, of course, so people can say what they want, but if you start attacking me personally, I do not like cutting off comments, and I won't do that. But if it turns that direction, I might have no choice. Um, but I want to know if you're Filipino, what do you think of this? Do you think it's a good result? Are you disappointed? Are you concerned? Are you excited? Um, I'm very pro Philippines. I think the Philippines is a great country. I have a lot of respect for the Filipino people, and I hope, in that sense, that the Marcos presidency is successful. That's the irony. I actually hope it's successful. But I think it is very legitimate for journalists to ask questions. And the fact is, Marcos has defended his father. You can't deny that. He has done that. So for people who went through those years from 1965 to 1986, they're going to have memories. So I don't know if it's younger people who've supported him or what. Anyway, let me know your perspectives and please keep it civil. I'm not interfering. I'm not telling you how to think. I'm asking. I'm just asking. That's all. Thanks for watching.